You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 266 for Sunday, the 23rd of June, 2019.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my good friend Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Well, in a massive change-up to the advertised show, I managed to get hold of Len Testa from touringplans.com and have a chat with him about how I could tackle and how you could tackle the challenge of 4 parks in one day. So here goes, and then we'll have the show with Kat and Lewis the week after.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls, and I have a fantastic guest ahead for you guys. I would like to welcome back Mr. Len Testa. Hello there, sir.
Hey Michelle, how are you?
I am jolly good, and in your honour, I have a cup of British tea and 2 Jammy Dodger biscuits ready to be devoured.
Thank you for thinking of me. That's all I ask.
I will enjoy them without giving you the calories, sir.
It's a sacrifice, but someone has to make it. Go ahead.
It is. Although, in the UK at the moment, we have dinosaur Jammy Dodgers and
What?
unicorn Jammy Dodgers.
You know, people say that Western civilization isn't advancing, and I'd like to point these things out.
Completely.
It's examples of like how we continue to progress as a society. All right.
Who would have thought it when you were such a mere youngster, when you first encountered your first Jammy Dodger, that they could take it to such heights?
These accomplishments amaze me every day. Is it too late for Nobel Prize nominations, or has that already happened? There's always next year. All right.
Yeah, but don't worry.
Take that, Bono.
I have promised that when I come over to the USA, I will be bringing you a selection of Jammy Dodgers.
If you're there in July, I will be there in July.
I don't hit town till 21st.
All right. Next time. All right.
Yeah. Schedulers and all this. I've got to work till the absolute 19th of July when I dispatch my Year 6 class.
All right. Maybe next time.
Yeah, but let's talk about Disney, and you are hot on the foot back from Galaxy's Edge. Without revealing any secrets, how do you think Disney coped with the strategic side of it? You know, the queue management and all the techie stuff that you are well known for.
I thought they did a fantastic job of organization and crowd management. Everything went as smoothly as you could expect for something that big. So the opening day was May 31st. At 6 a.m., they said we could start lining up outside of the Disneyland park. But in actuality, they had already opened the gates well before that. And by the time I got there at 5:30 in the morning, there were already a few hundred people in line. And the way that Disney organized the line was actually pretty clever. They took the people who were just there for the opening day merchandise and put them on Main Street. And they took the people who were there for Galaxy's Edge and put them in a separate area of Main Street, sort of like one of the back arcades, to where you didn't have a huge group because you didn't need a huge group. It was 2 smaller groups. Mm-hmm. And then once we had to pick up our wristbands to get into to Galaxy's Edge, that process took maybe 3 minutes. They were using the launch bay area, and they had tons of cast members set up, verifying, checking your IDs. Handing out the wristbands, and then scanning them to initialize them to get them started, and then you were on your way. And we waited for a little bit in Fantasyland before we entered, but then we got in and everything went smooth. The only things that they changed after opening day were they went to a virtual queue for Oga's Cantina. And from what I understand, they'll do a virtual queue as well for Savi's workshop for the lightsabers.
Okay.
So they figured that out pretty quickly. They also figured out that as Americans we steal things. So there were these. I don't know if you saw them, Michelle, but they were pewter sporks for food.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you the story. About 8:30 in the morning, after I had ridden Millennium Falcon with my coworker Guy, we got some food at Ronto's Roasters. No, Docking Bay 7. That included the sporks, and we went to eat it in this little courtyard area, and the only other people in the courtyard were clearly Disney executives in suits with the cast member badges, right? And they were sitting nearby. Well, and when you go to a counter service restaurant, Michelle, you have your tray, then you go to like a little stand where they have salt and pepper and condiments, and so I went over there and I was getting my napkins and my condiments, and I pick up this spork, and I realize that it's metal.
Wow.
And I look at it and I say, Guy, come here. Get a picture of these because they're going to get stolen by the end of the day. And as soon as I said the word stolen, the Disney executives all turned to look at me like, what? Like, excuse me? It's almost as if you say biscuit to a dog. Like what? Like, what are we doing here? So they, so then I started saying like, oh my God, this is like the perfect souvenir. It perfectly captures the essence of Galaxy's Edge. It's cheap. You reuse them over and over again. It's not like a Millennium Falcon, plush toy that no one's ever going to see. I mean, you could put these in your kids' school lunch boxes, right? And as I'm saying this, the executives start standing up, and as soon as I leave, they go count the number of sporks that are there, and then some of them go inside. So by the end of that day, sporks were available on eBay for $85 each. The next day, half of the sporks were gone. By the end of the weekend, there were no more sporks. And this is why we can't have nice things, Michelle. This is why.
Such a shame.
I didn't steal one. And in retrospect, it probably would have been okay because everyone else was doing it. Not the right thing to do. Stealing is wrong, and I didn't do it. But hopefully Disney sells them for like $7. I would totally buy them for $7.
Well, it's like on the Disney cruise ships where you have artist palettes and they have the palette knife as a bread knife. They sell them in the gift shop.
They should have sold these sporks, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think if we see them in Walt Disney World, they'll be for sale. My other idea was to attach the spork to the tray with like a long wire, but then that sounded a lot like prison. Maybe not the best sort of thing for them. Anyway, but other than that, I think it went really, really well. I think Disney Park Operations did a fantastic job. Hope it's exactly like that in Walt Disney World.
Me too. It sounds absolutely phenomenal, and the feedback I've had from people who have been there, wow.
Yeah. Parts of it were very good. The character greetings were excellent. Lightsaber experience, fantastic. Food, I thought, was above average. If you like the sort of food in Pandora, it's of that kind of quality and distinctiveness. I really liked all the flavors. Nothing wrong. The popcorn, too, by the way, is amazing. They've got this sort of like fruity, tangy, sweet, sour thing going on with all the popcorn. It's an very interesting combination of flavors. Yeah. I don't even like popcorn, and I eat half of it.
Well, it's nice that they've brought out things that are unique and different for this particular land, because it gives people who might not enjoy the attractions because, motion issues and things like that, it gives them something to go and do and explore all the different foods.
It's true. Like I said, so far it's very promising. We'll see what happens when Rise of the Resistance opens too.
Oh, well, we're not here really to talk about Galaxy's Edge because you're going to help me with doing this crazy, stupid idea I've come up with.
All right.
Sometimes you have this idea and you think on paper, oh, that sounds good.
What could possibly go wrong?
And then you start thinking of the logistics about parking, whether you take a bus, whether you take transport, what constitutes as meeting this challenge. But for some strange reason, the day after I get married in Walt Disney World, I've decided to go and tackle 4 theme parks in one day.
Fantastic idea. Not a conventional honeymoon, but okay, sure.
True. And just to top it off, I have a very subtle knee-length dress I will be wearing when I get married. I'm going to wear that on the same day.
Okay.
And it's in end of July when it is going to be hotter than the surface of the sun and no doubt have a little bit of a drizzle in the afternoon.
Of course. Actually a skirt's not a bad idea. I would probably wear one too. Maybe a kilt.
Oh.
Yeah. I have this rule that I don't wear pants. I don't wear shorts unless it's above 90 degrees in the U.S. It's so that's sort of my guideline there. So maybe I'll be wearing shorts and you can wear your skirt and we'll see each other. All right, we'll see.
Perfect.
4 parks in one day. All right, so that was the premise that you sent me. I've done some research on this.
I am so in need of your help because I've got certain things that'll cause me a glitch, but I wanted to know what an expert would do if faced with this challenge, because I do know a lot of our listeners, it's one of the big questions that they want to do once they've visited both American theme parks, whether Disneyland and Walt Disney World. The next thing is I've got to ride every attraction, or I've got to visit every park in one day. There's so many different ways of achieving this, and in fact you guys even on your website have a hall of fame for those people who have become the ultimate touring park champions.
We do. We have a number of challenges around seeing all of the attractions in a given park in a given day. The 4 parks in one day thing is a little unique. Why don't we start with that, and then we'll do all the attractions in one park separately. How does that sound?
Right. That sounds absolutely spot on. So basically, what's the data saying with regards to the logistics of a park order, and also what fast passes, etc.? Basically, I'm just going to hand it over to you, Len, and I'm going to sit here and eat the biscuits.
All right. So the couple of things that sort of come to mind. One is, especially during summer, the Magic Kingdom is usually open later than any other park, which makes it good for evening touring, especially if you've got evening extra magic hours that extend past midnight. Because the crowds really clear out around 11 o'clock. So, for example, on July 24th, 2019, the Studios has early morning magic, and the Magic Kingdom is open until 1 a.m. with extra magic hours. So that's a very long day in which you could get a lot of things done. So every other day during the summer, most other days during the summer, the Magic Kingdom closes at 10 p.m., so June and July. So that 1 a.m. closing is basically 3 more hours of access.
And it's a free access, isn't it? It's not like one of the Villains events or a hard ticket event.
Right. So that's the trade-off there, that there's none of those on those days. Alternatively, I think when people look at approaching 4 parks in one day, a lot of them think that you would go to the Animal Kingdom, especially during morning extra magic hours, to get Flight of Passage out of the way. But it turns out the only days during this summer with Animal Kingdom morning extra magic hours, the Magic Kingdom closes at 9 or 10 p.m. So you'd lose 3 or 4 hours of Magic Kingdom time for that 1 hour of Animal Kingdom time. And this is the sort of questions that you've got to answer when you're looking at a 4 park in one day challenge, right? Where am I going to be able to spend the most effective time?
Okay.
All right. So let's assume July 24th is our date. It means that we should start at the Studios and use early morning magic to ride Slinky Dog Dash, Toy Story Mania, and Alien Swirling Saucers, starting at 7:45 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I actually looked too. There's no morning Fast Pass availability right now for Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. So Tower of Terror right now, I'm not sure if you know this, Michelle, but Tower of Terror is operating on a reduced capacity.
Oh, how
level.
come that's happened?
They're working. They're doing refurbishments on the individual elevator shafts, one at a time. So one of them is down at any given time throughout the summer. And Rock and Roller Coaster is just popular, so there's no Fast Pass there. But there is Fast Pass available right now for Star Tours. But if we pick up a Fast Pass for Star Tours at the Studios, it'd really only save us 10 minutes or so. So it's probably not a good use for advanced Fast Pass. So we should probably not use Fast Pass at the Studios when we're using morning extra magic hours. So here's what I think we should start with. I think we should start with Slinky Dog Dash at 7:45. Your wait for that should be pretty minimal. You should be able to hit Toy Story Mania, or our number 2 ride, at 7:56 a.m. Then Alien Swirling Saucers, number 3, at 8:09. And then you can ride those over and over again. But about 10 or 15 minutes before the park opens, you want to get in line for Rock and Roller Coaster. So you can ride that right at 9 a.m. You should have a minimal wait there. Your 5th ride should be Tower of Terror at 9:25. That's actually going to be a fairly long wait, maybe half an hour because it's running at reduced capacity.
Yeah.
And then Star Tours for number 6 at 10:26 a.m.
That's getting a lot of that park out of the way in such a short time.
6 rides in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of that you're just rewriting the Toy Story Land rides until the rest of the park opens at 9. So we should be done with the studios by about 10:36. How are you going to get to the next park?
Well, we have hired a car. So the thought was to utilise the car transportation. And so we're going to be driving.
It's not a bad idea. You could use a rideshare to get dropped off at the front of each park, or hire a taxi.
True.
It would save you the parking and walking time to get from park to park, and that may be useful for you too. And I think these cab rides are all, $10-15 tops. I would definitely consider that. So let's say it's going to take you 45 minutes to get to the next park. We have to figure out which park to go to next. I'm thinking the next park should be Epcot because as of today, there's still tons of FastPass availability. Plus also Test Track has a single rider line.
Yeah, massive plus. I suppose if I chose not to take the car, I could always use the friendship boats.
You could to get there. That's not a bad option. Or you could walk.
Well, yeah, you could probably overtake the friendship boats.
That's a good question. Depending on how fast you walk, you would have to go from the International Gateway entrance back to the front of the park. But still, that still might be faster overall. Maybe the friendship boats might be faster. I wouldn't say no to that.
Okay, I'll bear that one in mind.
Okay, that's probably an option. Okay, so at Epcot, our attractions are Soarin', Test Track, Spaceship Earth, Mission Space, and Frozen Ever After. We can currently get fast passes for Soarin', Mission Space, and Spaceship Earth today for late morning and early afternoon, and I think that's a good idea.
That's fantastic to think that they're available at such limited availability. So close to the trip, 4 weeks out.
Yep, still far out. The other thing I would say is we can use a little fast pass booking trick, and we'll have our first fast pass start a little bit before we arrive, so that we can get the second one earlier. So although we're not generally going to be at the park until 11 or 11:15, we want our first fast pass for Soarin' to start at 10:30 or 10:45, because we'll use it as soon as we get into the park. Then we can get another one at Mission Space for 11:30 or 11:45, and then Spaceship Earth for 1:30. So so assuming you can get those fast passes, which again these are all still available. I checked it like in the last day. You would ride Soarin' around 11:30 using FastPass. You would then go to Mission Space around 11:52-ish using FastPass and wait about 9 minutes with that. Then you would head over to Frozen Ever After in Norway and World Showcase for around 12:30, and that's going to be a fairly long wait of around 40-ish minutes. But after that, you can do Test Track Single Rider Line. That's your 10th attraction of the day.
Wow.
With a single rider line, I don't think your wait would be more than 20 or 25 minutes. And you can end up at Spaceship Earth around 2 p.m. with a very short 3-minute wait with Fast Pass. That would give you 11 attractions, and you'd be done at Epcot by 2:20 p.m.
Wow, that's pretty good going to say that I've got 11 attractions under my belt and I'm at the front of the park ready to leave.
Yep. Don't forget, the average guest in Walt Disney World sees 10 attractions in a day. You've already seen them, and it's only 2:20 in the afternoon.
I'm focused and I'm on a mission.
All right. So next you should head to Animal Kingdom, because we want to take the evening for the Magic Kingdom. So let's say we get there and we get through security by 3 p.m. As you're headed there, I would be looking for day of fast passes for whatever you can get at Animal Kingdom. I'm going to assume that nothing's available, but if there is, it'd probably be for Dinosaur. So even today, right now, as we're recording this in the early afternoon, there's still a lot of day of Dinosaur availability today.
Wow. For
later on in the day. So the rides we want to see in the Animal Kingdom are Flight of Passage, Everest, Kilimanjaro Safaris, and Dinosaur. You can swap out Dinosaur for any other attraction that's comparable. I think Primeval Whirl will be closed while you're there, so that one doesn't count. Yeah. But and don't forget, Everest has a single rider line too.
True.
All right. So first attraction I think you should visit is Kilimanjaro Safaris. Get there around 3:10, 3:11 p.m. Pretty considerable wait there, 40, 45 minutes. If there's a day of fast pass for it, you should get it. If not, it's not a terrible line. Next after that, Flight of Passage around 4:20, 4:25 p.m. This is going to be the longest wait of the day. 100 minutes, Michelle?
Ouch. I haven't done the standby line. Well, I technically have. I went in and did the first morning, sort of run to the park, get in line, but we didn't get to go and see that massive, impressive animatronic, which was the whole point of doing that, because they just took us down the fast pass line.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Well, they'll have plenty of time in this line to look at everything in the queue. Definitely hit the restrooms before you go in for a 100-minute wait.
Yeah.
But you'll get out around 6:20 p.m. You'll hit Expedition Everest. I think the single rider line there is a good option. Your wait there at that time of the evening should be relatively short. I'm thinking somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, according to our models. And then you'll finish up with Dinosaur around 6:45, 6:50 p.m. and that's going to be a very, very short couple-minute wait. And that's 15 attractions so far for the day.
Wow. Fantastic stuff. I guess now we're going to be finishing off at Magic Kingdom.
We will. So one trick I like for the Magic Kingdom is to take a taxi or an Uber to the Contemporary and get dropped off just beyond the guard station, not the lobby. It saves 10 minutes of walking, and it can save up to 70 minutes versus parking in the Magic Kingdom parking lot, taking a monorail, going through security that way, getting to the Magic Kingdom. So no matter what you're doing for the other parks, I really think getting dropped off at the Contemporary is the way to go for your day.
No, I completely agree with that. It's such a convenient idea. Having to worry about the car at a later point, wherever I've dumped it. But it's just a brilliant idea. You can just walk straight across. When you go up to security, will they just let the taxi through for drop off?
Yeah, just say dropping off.
Yeah, cool, brilliant. Don't even need to have a dining reservation or anything like that you're not going to turn up for.
No, they really care about the parking spaces. They don't care about getting dropped off.
Cool.
All right, so let's say we're in the Magic Kingdom by 7:45. The park closes at 1 a.m., so we've got 5 hours and 15 minutes. And let's say that we want to ride all of the big rides, so Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Haunted Mansion, and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Perfect.
The classics.
It's like you've read my mind of what I want to do in a day.
All right, so it's kind of risky to assume that any fast passes are going to be available that late in the day. So let's assume that there's nothing available. If there is, obviously you should take it. But according to our software, here's the order in which you should do these plans. So start with Big Thunder around 8 p.m. It's a big wait, 51 minutes. Good news is there's lots of fun things to do in line now with the additions that they've added to the queue, all those fun games to play. You should be done with that by 9 o'clock. I would say Pirates would be next, and that's going to be a relatively short wait, 10, maybe 15 minutes. Then Splash Mountain around 9:30, mild wait there, 20, 25 minutes. Then Haunted Mansion around 10:20 p.m., 15-minute wait there, nothing bad. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain are the last two attractions. The idea here is that you're waiting out the crowds. Who are, as the evening goes on, fewer and fewer people will be in the park. So Seven Dwarfs Mine Train around 10:45 p.m. Wait should be 30, 35 minutes. And then Space Mountain at 11:30 p.m. The wait should be half an hour or less. So you should be done with 21 attractions just after midnight. You'll actually have another 50 minutes for some other attractions. The model thinks that you can get Peter Pan's Flight in and Buzz Lightyear and still be done with 5 minutes to spare for the day.
Maybe I could even sneak onto the People Mover and get in 24.
If you could do it, yeah. As long as you're in line before the park closes, you'll be fine.
That sounds amazing, but there's one massive problem there.
Go ahead.
I've not eaten anything.
Have you considered protein bars and Depends undergarments? I'm just saying, Michelle.
I'll have one of those camel packs and forget it filled up with water. I'll have protein shakes.
Protein shakes, exactly. Dump a few smoothies in there during the morning. Everything will be fine all day.
Yeah. I'll obviously have my incontinence pads on, so I won't even need a bathroom break.
That's right. I'm not saying that's not a good idea.
I used to be a nurse. I can sort all that malarkey out.
I've done, like I said, before we started recording this, I was mentioning I've done 42 attractions in a day. And it's like, it's not jogging between attractions. It's speed walking though. I mean, every sort of moment counts. So this is 20, 23, 24. You should be okay here. I don't think we've made any particular, optimistic assumptions about how long you're going to wait anywhere. Assuming all the rides are operating, I think this is pretty doable for you.
That sounds a lot more ambitious than what I was sort of anticipating. I was thinking I could possibly do 2 attractions in each park.
You could do 2, but you could do more too.
Yeah, true.
Especially at the studios, because there's early morning magic. You can do those 3 attractions in under 20 or 25 minutes. So that's a huge advantage for the studios. And then at the other end of the day, the fact that the Magic Kingdom is open until 1 will really help you see some popular attractions later in the evening with relatively small waits.
So if someone else is wanting to plan their own 4 parks in one day or any other sort of challenge, what can they do via your website for a free service or if they're subscribing?
So you can make touring plans for free on the site. And I would say just sort of follow the assumptions that we made here. You generally want to end in the Magic Kingdom because it's generally going to be the park that's open latest. So then find the park that has either regular morning extra magic hours or early morning magic, if you can pay for that. And that would be the park that you start at. I like the idea of doing Epcot second because there's still a lot of availability for FastPass relatively close to your trip. That's where I would actually get my first set of advanced FastPasses. And that means Animal Kingdom is third in the day. So, again, you can switch that order around if Epcot or Animal Kingdom has early morning magic, but that's an idea. And then, I'm assuming 45 minutes for transportation. So once you know which attractions you want to see on the first park and when you're going to begin, you can sort of figure out when your next touring plan for your next park is supposed to begin, what attractions you want. So make 4 plans and just sort of link them together like that, and you should be able to do the same thing.
Okay, so perhaps the person that decides to go ahead and do this challenge isn't really that fussed about attractions, but they want to meet characters.
So characters are interesting because some of them have fixed spots where they meet. So Ariel always meets at Ariel's grotto, for example, and the princesses always meet at Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Other characters sort of roam around. If you want to visit characters in designated character greeting areas, the touring plans work the same way. So if you want to meet Donald and Goofy at Pete's Silly Sideshow, or you want to meet Daisy and Minnie at Pete's Silly Sideshow, touring plans work the same way for that. All of the Mickey and Minnie meet and greets work the same way too. The characters that sort of move around throughout the day, those are trickier because you generally don't know where they're going to be until you see where they're at in the Times Guide. So, for example, when Tiana used to meet in Liberty Square in Walt Disney World, she would meet sort of behind that the Christmas shop area. But the times of the day sort of varied. That's the tricky part about meeting characters. If it's not if the character doesn't have a fixed location with a line with a formal queue, the timing and the location can vary. I would say pick up a Times Guide when you get in the park though, and see what's available.
Okay, fabulous. What about if you wanted to go and attack all the attractions in one park? Is it possible?
It is actually possible. So funny story. When I was originally working on the touring plan software with Bob, he was living in Alabama. I was in graduate school in North Carolina. But as the first version of the touring plan software got to be almost complete, I went to Birmingham and stayed with Bob for a couple of days while we ironed out all of the details, like the last few things that had to be fixed in the software. So one night after dinner over a bottle of wine, right before we were going to turn in for the night, Bob said, can you put all of the attractions in the Magic Kingdom in the software and see if it thinks you can do them all in one day? And the reason for that is this. So Bob had started writing the book in 1986. This was 10, maybe 15 years, 10 or 12 years later. And he had always said in the book that even if there were no lines, you couldn't see everything in the park in one day. There were just too many things taking too much time. So that was his question. Like, can you actually see everything in one day? So we put all the attractions. At the time, there were, I think, 29 attractions that formal rides that we're running. We put them all in, and the software spit out a touring plan that said, yes, you can definitely complete them in one day. So we couldn't actually test it. So we said in the book, the next edition of the book, we think the software thinks that you can see every ride that's operating in the Magic Kingdom in one day. If you're crazy enough to try this, let us know, and we'll give you the touring plan.
I don't think I am, to be honest. I know I'm there for 17 days, and I know I could probably have a rest day before and after. I think in the days where you had like the 24-hour park days, or the really late Magic Kingdom hours where it's opening up till, like you say, till the 1 a.m, then I think you've got a pretty good stab at it. But most of the nights I'm there, the park closes at 9 o'clock. So I think it's going to be really challenging to do it in a 12-hour window.
So it's actually doable. The first person to ever do it was sort of like if you had to build somebody who was made for this Magic Kingdom touring plan, it'd be the person who did it. So he is a marathon runner and also a professor of economics at a university here in the U.S. So he understood both data and was well conditioned. He said he would try it. We gave him the touring plan. He picked a day with morning extra magic hours at the Magic Kingdom, and I had actually taken the day off from work just to track how this person was doing during the plan, and it was almost like watching NASA with a rocket launch, where every second is planned out, every step of. So we knew by noon. He started at 8 a.m. We knew by noon that he was going to succeed. That all of the remaining steps in the plan were shows and presentations that were relatively constant in terms of waiting time. So by noon, we knew he was going to succeed. And it was a great feeling to have the software validated. But then the next question was, after it worked out, the next question was, how many things could you actually do in one day in the Magic Kingdom? So you mentioned the 24-hour events. Mm-hmm. We actually have special touring plans for the 24-hour events. The current record is something like 98 attractions, and that includes character greetings and parades and fireworks and all sorts of all the minor games like Sorcerer of the Magic Kingdom, Pirates Adventure. 98 things in 23 hours and I think 58 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, I've done 42, so not even half of that, and I was exhausted. It's the amount of wear and tear it puts on your body is exceptional. There's a lot of effort that goes into things like that. The other thing is to approach that, everything has to go your way. Like when you show up at Country Bear Jamboree, you can't wait 12 minutes for the next show. You basically have to be diving through the doors as they're closing, to get into the show without having to waste any extra time in line. But we've had hundreds of people who have tried to do all the attractions in one day, and I think most of them who follow the plan easily get above 40 attractions. Some of the more ambitious ones get into the 60s. And the truly crazy ones, who can do a 24-hour event, are up near 100. Yeah.
Oh, well, you've given me something to aim for now, because you've said the truly crazy ones, and I think I fit into that category of being truly crazy. So I don't know. I might have to have a little look at my my plan and see when the Magic Kingdom is open late, and see if I can squeeze in doing a nutty day, following the advice you have given me.
You could do it.
I think on the day I'm going to do my 4 parks, I've been challenged to have a picture with Mickey and Minnie in every park in different outfits.
Oh, great idea. That's great.
Which is different. Ride an attraction, at least one, have a snack, and try to ride every type of transport that there is.
Oh, so you could do friendship boats in Epcot. You could do... but you'd have to start in the Magic Kingdom because the Main Street vehicles close definitely by noon, maybe by 10 a.m. So you'd have to start in the Magic Kingdom there.
And then there's this big crinkle because we were finishing the night at going at Beaches and Cream, and we had nowhere to put the car because we was going to Epcot first, and we couldn't leave the car at Epcot because how would we get there from Beaches and Cream? It basically caused my head to explode at one point, and I had to scrape brain matter off the wall and stuff it back in my ears just to try and get my head round the logistics of this. So knowing I could have just gone to touringplans.com, pressed a button, have all that information, and I wouldn't. But anyway, I'm my own worst enemy because I come up with these stupid ideas.
That's a fantastic idea. I love it. A different outfit in the same day. So you'd have to carry the outfits with you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what we do. We'll see. I know I've got to meet Mickey and Minnie in all of their 4 different outfits.
Okay.
So
that's so where do you meet them? Oh, in Epcot, it's Epcot Character Spot. It's the Adventurers Outpost in the Animal Kingdom, Red Carpet Dreams in the studios, and then Main Street Theater. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
We were thinking Animal Kingdom first, Magic Kingdom, and we were going to do transportation over to Contemporary like you've suggested, then Hollywood Studios, and then Epcot, because we have to finish at Epcot because Illuminations is our firework. It's ours. It's ours. We own it. And
I understand.
It's open till 11 at night, and that means we can go and get on Frozen Ever after the fireworks.
Oh, good point. And this will be the last time you see Illuminations too.
It will. I've got a fair few visits to make sure that I do see it. I did try desperately to book a firework cruise, but there's no availability because everybody wants to do it now. Everyone
wants to do it. Yeah, it's the last one. That's right. We've only got a couple more months of it left. That's sad. Let's not think about that. That's sad.
But you know what? I don't mind because I'm doing lots of other stupid, silly, wonderful, amazing things, and I am going to start playing around with the touring plans to see how I can maximise my time in the parks to make sure I do some running attraction to attraction. The only thing, the other half, is he won't be able to keep up with me.
It's true. You go on, save yourself.
Yeah, I am like Mo Farah when you put me in a theme park. I just literally power walk, stop to stop to stop to stop to stop. And yeah, it'll be interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the 3 people that have agreed to do this with me because they're just going to be exhausted after one ride. But hey-ho. So, my lovely, thank you so much for all your help and support on this one. I can see I've got a little bit more research I need to do to fine-tune my plans, but that's a cracking day. Absolutely.
Let me know if there's anything I can help with on it. I've saved the plans, so if you want me to change them to anything else, I'm happy to do it.
Michelle's Lunatic Wedding Day Challenge.
I may have actually used those words when I typed in the title. Can you see what I'm typing now?
I've just read your mind. So give yourself a massive shout out where people can come to get more help, advice, and obviously listen to you and the wonderful Jim Hill and the podcast you do together.
Oh, thank you. I'm Len Testa. The website is touringplans.com. My email is len@touringplans.com. You can also hear me on a weekly podcast I do with Jim Hill. It's called the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. Comes out once a week on Mondays. Pick it up on iTunes or wherever you hear podcasts yourself.
And do, because it's the highlight of Monday morning driving to work. And there has been one or two occasions where I've missed the turning for work because my journey is only 12 minutes long and I wanted to listen to the end of the show. So, yeah.
Why is Michelle in the roundabout? She's still in the roundabout, just going around. What's happening there?
I know, because you guys don't really have roundabouts like we have roundabouts.
Oh, so my twin sister lives in a development that has 4 roundabouts, and you can tell when the American drivers first see the roundabout, the look of utter confusion. Like instantly, as soon as they see it, the brake lights go on when you're behind them. Like they come to a stop. You can see them sort of looking around left and right, like, what am I supposed to do here? And then they sort of gingerly go out into the roundabout and try and figure out what to do next. It's amazing to watch them do it, and it's a lot of fun. I think more U.S. places should have them.
Can I just float one stupid idea that I've had by you? Because I want it validating as a fantastic idea.
Go ahead.
England Pavilion at Epcot. I know everyone's talking about the Mary Poppins, blah, blah. I've got a better attraction.
Go ahead.
I've got Pongo and Perdita's Puppy Pounce.
Where you get like you get in there with dogs like Dalmatians and.
Well, not really. You are actually Pongo or Perdita, and you're in a black taxi cab. But it's a similar ride system to the Crush's Coaster in Disneyland Paris. So there's 4 of you in it. And it sort of like retells the story at the beginning. And then you go on a dark ride bit with the coaster and the sort of rotation feeling. And then you come out at the end, but it's all going through the streets of London.
That's brilliant. I love the idea.
You see, we're starting a campaign now. We want this. Forget Mary Poppins. We want Dalmatians.
They could do it. That's
Absolutely.
a great ride idea.
And they've not utilised that technology on Crush's Coaster anywhere else.
Right. It's a big draw, and they've already proven the technology in France. So it's not like they have to build something from scratch. That's a great idea, Michelle.
I have them every now and again. Sometimes I have a pretty dodgy idea, like doing 4 parks in one day. But then when it comes to an attraction, I have some creativity.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Len, for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting Disney with you. It always is. And thank you for all the research.
Thank you, Michelle. I hope to see you in July in the States.
Absolutely.